And I recall in the days and the weeks preceding the election, there were various people I would encounter during my one trip per week out of the house where I would go to the grocery store. And a lot of people were under the impression that after the election ended, COVID-19 would go away. Well,
Yeah.
it hasn't. Now, I guess they would say the election still hasn't ended, but it's still not going to go away once the last vote is counted. I hope people realize that. The numbers are going up nationwide, as everyone who was taking this seriously expected from the moment we realized cold and flu season will put people indoors and enhance the chances for spreading the virus. NFL teams are seeing a spike in players testing positive away from the facility. For as long, Chris, as there is anything other than a home market bubble, and everyone goes their separate ways at the end of practice, at the end of meetings, after a game, you're going to have these opportunities for people to test positive, and they are. Jacob Martin, Texans linebacker, overnight the news came out that he tested positive. That was on a Wednesday morning sample.
Right.
The PCR result came in overnight. Texans are going to work remotely today.
Yeah.
They're missing a day of practice in advance of a game against the Jaguars. And that's just going to be part of the background noise for the NFL. And we just hope it stays in the background so they can play the games. But that's just going to be part of this churn for the rest of the season, Chris.
Yeah, it is. You're right. I mean, well, there's just nothing we can do right now. As you see anywhere, whether you watch the news or just at least living in your community, the spread is real. I mean, it certainly has spread more here in the New York, Connecticut area. It's infiltrated my kids' schools in certain areas and schools around town. So, this is something we're going to have to continue to deal with. And, of course, sports, it's different, but it's still a reflection on society. And you got, 100 guys walking into a building every day. Yeah, well, with the state of the country and COVID right now, some of them are going to walk in with COVID, and we'll see where we go. But, it's, of course, it hurts football teams. I mean, now, man, hey, look at the matchup tonight. The 49ers, not are only injured, but now they've lost a little battle with COVID this week to where they're banged up, beat up football team, as bad as I can ever remember any top-notch team being banged up. And now they're going to miss two other big-time football players because they're on the COVID list. So teams are going to be handicapped on certain weeks, no practice, missing players, and that's just the way it's going to be here until, like you said, until it goes to the bubble or something like that, and then we won't have to have these conversations nearly as much.
And let's boil this down as it relates to the San Francisco 49ers. What happened was Kendrick Bourne, 49ers receiver, tested positive. Yesterday we found out about it, and I want to be as accurate as I can about how this process works. It would have been a Tuesday morning sample with the result returned into Wednesday morning informing the 49ers that Bourne had tested positive.
Right.
Well, Tuesday was a work day this week because of a Thursday night game. So what they immediately start doing is contact tracing, assessing which other players or coaches fall into that high-risk category for potentially developing it. This is the NFL's way of dealing with the incubation period.
Yeah.
That's one of the big donut holes we talked about earlier in the season, and the NFL just dealt with it. At some point in the past few weeks, Chris, with enhanced protocols, I think it was early October, that's when the NFL said, okay, here's what we're going to do. When a guy tests positive, we're going to identify these high-risk close contacts, and we're preemptively taking them out of circulation for 5 days, even if they never get it. So that's how the 49ers are getting screwed tonight. Not that they're getting screwed because this can potentially happen to anyone, but Bourne tests positive. 3 other guys were deemed to be close contacts. Deebo Samuel, who was going to miss the game anyway with a hamstring injury. Trent Williams, starting left tackle, he's not available tonight, even if he never gets COVID-19. And then receiver Brandon Ayuk, first-round draft pick, guy they traded up to get, guy who has shown some flashes of high-level ability. He's not available tonight either. Not because he's injured, but because he had too close of contact with Kendrick Bourne in that window after he gave a positive sample that ultimately was determined to indeed be positive for COVID-19. And look at all the other guys they're missing tonight. I mean, this is unbelievable. You could almost have an all-star team of their best players that aren't available tonight.
I don't remember ever a team of, Super Bowl quality ever having to deal with this type of, injuries in a given year. It truly is unbelievable. Bad luck, certainly, whatever else it is. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. But, Mike, let me just get this straight. If it was a normal Sunday game, right, Ayuk and Trent Williams would probably be able to play because it's still within that. Is it it's close, right? Or maybe not?
Yeah, it's close. It's very close. And we're dealing with that with Matthew Stafford, the Lions quarterback,
Right.
who's on the COVID-19 reserve list because he was exposed to someone away from the facility. His wife announced last night that the family was exposed. Stafford was candid about it when I don't know how else the Lions would have known about it. And boom.
Right.
You're on the COVID-19 reserve list. And look, this is something that we've been talking about for weeks now. Do you really think these people are going to be? I'm surprised Stafford was. He did the right thing.
Yeah.
Because he could have developed it and given it to someone else, and maybe it ends up being caught by someone that it kills. So it is the right thing to do. It's the mature thing to do. We were praising Odell Beckham Jr. for that a couple of weeks ago for saying, hey, I don't feel well. You know, in any other year, guys just suck it up and keep going. But because of the possibility he had COVID-19, he raised his hand and he was sent home for a few days. So Stafford's able to come back for the game Sunday, but not practice at all this week. I think it would have been close as to whether or not the 49ers players could have been back for a Sunday game, right? Because it was a Tuesday exposure.
Yeah.
And it's 5 days, I think, though, from when you're placed on the list. They were placed on the list yesterday only because it took a day to figure out who was in close contact. And the other thing I'd like to know, was the close contact inevitable because of being on the practice field, or was it negligent from being in the building and getting too close? Because there's the NFL's belief here is that if everyone follows the procedures, even if a guy walks in the door positive and we find out later he gave a sample that was tested positive, no one else should be at risk. Well, clearly 3 other guys, based on being around Kendrick Bourne on Tuesday, were at risk. So that's where I'm confused. And there's not a whole lot of transparency.
No.
See, there's a lot of confusion, and people are just like, what the hell's going on? And it feels arbitrary. And if I was a 49ers fan, I'd be pissed right now, Chris, that the game is going forward. Move it to Monday. We've already shown that we can stretch that rubber band. Move it around. Give us a fair chance here. Move it to Monday. Move it to Tuesday if you have to. Give us a chance to play this game. Otherwise, tonight it's a joke. It's meaningless. It's the A team for the Packers versus the B team for the 49ers.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, in a lot of ways, they have a lot more ground to stand on than, like, let's say the Las Vegas Raiders a few weeks ago with all the offensive linemen, right? That was an issue. You know, we had heard there was, some rumblings out of the Raiders organization about they didn't think it was fair that they were going to be forced to play on that Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, all the injuries, COVID guys on that list now, a team that's playing one of the most important games of the year. I mean, they're getting towards like, whoa, we can only lose maybe 1 or 2 more games the rest of the year and we got to make a run. But even on that, Mike, with all the injuries, all those replacement guys and whoever the hell's playing at quarterback tonight for the 49ers, all that, they don't get to do, again, any walkthroughs, nothing to, like, really help their football team or get a feel or a grasp of, hey, you're playing here, you got to think about this, and, this is our game plan, and you'll get to walk through it a little bit. I mean, that to me, wow, they're as handicapped as any team I've seen this year being forced to play a football game. I mean, this short a period of time, the injuries, and then, of course, the COVID stuff. I understand them. I mean, I understand your point. I guess the NFL is kind of just trying to say, what? No, you have enough guys to field this. We're not going to play these type of games anymore and move the schedule around because they are losing a little flexibility as we go forward. And I guess they're just kind of finally, playing hardball here. I don't know, Mike. What's your take on that?
Well, as we entered the league, there was there was that sense of next man up. And there's 16 guys on the practice squad who can be elevated up to 90 minutes before kickoff, no questions asked. And I think we all believe that it would be a situation where on a Sunday morning, 5 guys wake up sick, or they find out that 5 guys tested positive, and they automatically have to replace guys who actually are positive for the virus with other players. And the sense was that under those circumstances, the NFL would say, hey, too bad.
Right.
You're down 5 offensive linemen, next man up. You don't have enough guys on the practice squad to fill those spots. That's on you for not making good roster decisions.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.